Hi everyone, let's talk about tasks in Salesforce. Now, tasks are very simply thought of as to-dos. I like to think T for task and then T for to-do. A task is essentially just a to-do item that needs to be completed by the user to which the task is assigned to. Tasks can very easily be related to leads, to contacts, campaigns, contracts, and a bunch of other standard and custom objects. An example of a good place to use a task would be, say that you're working with a lead and you promised the lead that you would get back to them with some more information. Maybe it's a pamphlet, maybe it's a kind of sales deck, whatever it is, you said you get back to them with some more data. And so you might create a task for yourself and relate it to that particular lead that you are working on. You would assign this task to you, and you might even set a reminder or a due date as well. Now, we can assign tasks for individual people, so either yourself or anyone else in your org, but it is actually possible to assign tasks to a queue. And to do this, we just need to create a task queue. You cannot assign tasks to an existing queue unless that queue is edited to specifically support the task object. So unfortunately, you can't just be assigning tasks to any old queue. They actually have to be configured to support that task object. When a user has been assigned a task, then they'll get a notification. And this notification appears as a little notification bell in the Lightning experience and in the notification tray, which is in the Salesforce mobile app. So they're very likely to see it. It would be pretty hard to miss. Now, there are a bunch of other things that we can talk about with tasks, and some of them are follow-ups. So once you've created a task, you can actually create a follow-up event straight from that existing task. The cool thing about this is that it's going to copy over all of the information from that task into the event, and then it will even just give you the option to specify a location. Further, you can make a follow-up task straight from the existing task. It's actually quite rare that one to-do is enough. Often once that one's been completed, it leads to another task that needs to be done. And you can do this straight from your existing task. No hassle there at all. Now, if a task becomes overdue, which it often does, the default in Salesforce is to display that task in red text on the home page, and then display a reminder pop-up message the next time a user logs into Salesforce. Now, you can also have group tasks, which is where you can have up to 200 people or users added to a single task. Each user will then be assigned an independent copy of that task. This is great if you've got something that everyone needs to do individually, but it's the same task for everyone. Group tasks are enabled by default in Salesforce, which is awesome. And if a guest user assigns a task to a regular user, then the user receiving the task doesn't get a delegated task notification. So you've got to be a bit careful of that with guest users. When members of a group are assigned a task, then each group member gets their own notification, and tasks are created only for active members in a public group. So if you've got non-active members in a public group, then they're not going to be assigned that task. Unfortunately, you cannot create bulk recurring tasks. Now, when we're thinking about tasks and what we can relate them to, usually it's just a single contact or a single lead, but you can actually relate one task to up to 50 contacts at a time. And the same goes for events. When we think about deleting tasks, there is no delete tasks permission. We can't enable and disable that on will. In fact, the only way that we can kind of prevent people from deleting tasks is to use a trigger, which is some Apex code, to set up some configuration that will prevent users from deleting tasks. Now, we've been talking a lot about the different features of tasks, about some of the awesome things that you can do with tasks, but when it comes to reporting on tasks, then you'll want to be using a reporting dashboard that has components which are based on both the task and events report type. Now, tasks can be viewed in many different ways from our users, but there are three main views that we can use. The first is a list view, and this is where tasks are simply just listed in a nice big long column or list, and tasks can be deleted from this view. Then we have the Kanban view, where the status of the task can be updated by dragging and dropping a task from one column into a different column. And finally, we have the split view, which will show a list of tasks on one side and then the detail of that selected task on the other. I hope that you got a lot of information there about tasks. There's so much more to them than what you might originally think. Although on the surface they are just a simple to-do, T for task, T for to-do, there's a lot of intricacies that you can modify and be aware of when it comes to using tasks in your Salesforce org. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you back here next time.